bids for purchases during the period of September 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2023 for the fiscal year 2022-23 materials purchases. That motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Prater, seconded by Mr. Ford. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Motion was offered by Alderman Brad Ford and seconded by Alderman Lyle Fogelman to adopt a resolution extending the contract with PL Habits Buildings for work during the period of September 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2023 for the fiscal year 2021-2022 labor and equipment general construction work contract. That motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Prater, seconded by Mr. Fogelman. Discussion? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. We were asked at the committee to look into extending that contract for 12 months instead of 6 months, and we did make that request. The request was honored, so I'd like the resolution to be revised to read September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023.
One more time, Mr. Prater?
Yes, I would like that resolution to be amended to state that the extension of the contract with PL Habits is for the period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023. That's a 12-month period.
I so move as amended. Second.
Offered by Mr. Cabell, seconded by Mr. Fogelman. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, Public Works Director Mr. Albert John presented the monthly Public Works report. Street Commissioner Mr. Gilbert Ozine was not present. Albert John presented the monthly Street Department report. City Engineer Tim Mader presented the monthly Engineers report. There was no further business to come before the Public Works Committee.
Mr. Prater, before you before you recess, look on your packet for your agenda. Instead of your committee, look on your packet. And then if you flip on the next page, you have an item number 8. It did not come before the committee. It's number 8. To consider approval of cooperative endeavor agreement. If you could, please, sir,
Okay,
offer a motion.
I'd like to offer a motion to consider approval of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Crowley and the Katy Parish Police Jury to include patching and overlay of that portion of Northern Avenue that lies outside the city limits in the 2021 citywide street improvements contract B construction contract.
Second.
Number 5. Mr. Prater, seconded by Mr. Cabell. Discussion and, okay, go ahead. Mr. Cabell.
Why?
I'm getting ready to call Mr. Lee. He's going to give you the report from last time.
Yes.
Then I had a call, to be honest with you, I had a call a couple of weeks ago and another one again, asking about Capitol Drive, and he'll explain that to you.
The section of American Legion Drive, Capitol Avenue, and Northern Avenue mostly lies within the corporate limits from Highway 90 all the way to the railroad tracks, and all the way to Marcus. There's a section that lies outside the corporate limits that's between the bridge at Conrad Road and the railroad tracks. It's about 1,800 feet, about a third of a mile that is not within the city limits. It's been in the past operated and maintained by the police jury. So the mayor asked the police jury to consider a cooperative endeavor agreement to have that section overlaid and paid for by the police jury. That was taken up at the police jury's road and bridge committee meeting last night. It was forwarded on to the full jury meeting, which is going to be held next Tuesday. I can't tell you what the outcome will be, but if you take this action tonight to authorize the mayor to enter into that cooperative endeavor agreement, and then the police jury takes action next Tuesday, similar action, then we would go into an agreement that Tom would prepare that would state the city will include that 1,800-foot stretch in its contract, and the police jury will pay for it. And it's It's estimated to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000 of patching it over.
And Mr. Mayor, if I'm correct, y'all had already offered those estimates to the police chief, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Redmond?
There's also a piece by the golf course too. There's a little piece of road that's not in the city limits either. Makes the curve by. That's true. I don't know if you want to maybe ask about that too.
I know exactly where you're referring to.
Maybe as long as it's running.
Yeah.
That could be brought up now at the meeting next week. So I'll get that relayed over to the.
All water doing.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Yes, sir. Mr. Reagan?
I wanted to, this tenant I recall, we actually did the same thing. And last time the streets were overlaid, that section was overlaid during the overlay of 1997.
I don't think that section was, Tom, for whatever reason, but we have had a similar agreement with Prince Street on Mill Street in the past, so it's not
All
only.
in agreement, I thought that was it, that, yeah, we've done this before, and we've picked up our contract, paid back, and picked up section pays for it, so we've done it. Very well.
The bridge. So when they redid the bridge on North, they did that.
Right.
Mr. Vogel?
I'm just curious, while we're talking about this, where's the section you're talking about, Sam?
That's it.
It's what point?
Yes, West Point.
West Point. Yeah. West.
In front of,
There's, I don't think it's as long as this room really. Maybe a little bit more.
That's in the map,
Golf course.
yeah. That road's on, yeah, just a piece of it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. No further discussion? All in favor? Yes. I'm sorry, aye, okay. Net, opposed? Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Gray.
All right, there be no further business to come before the Public Works Committee, then the committee rescinded.
Thank you, sir. Next, Utility Committee and Mr. Reggie.
Mayor, Utility Committee convened Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. The quorum was present. Under action items, the motion was offered by Alderman Jeff Cavell and seconded by Alderman Clint Crater to approve the award of the construction contract for common meter replacement at the main pump station to 2BA Services LLC in the amount of $433,400 contingent upon city attorney's opinion regarding compliance with the applicable state and federal laws and upon concurrence in contract award with applicable state funding agencies. Motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Reggie, seconded by Mr. Crater. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, wastewater superintendent Tim Crater presented the monthly wastewater report. City engineer Tim Mayer presented the monthly engineer's report, and there was no further business to come before the utility committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, Mr. Reggie, for stepping in. Recreation Committee, Mr. Crater.
Thank you, Mayor. The Recreation Committee meeting convened on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 at 4 p.m. in council chambers, and a quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was offered by Lyle Fogelman and seconded by myself to approve award of construction contract for the Rice Festival Building roof replacement project to Roofing Solutions LLC in the amount of $318,500. That motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bell. Offered by Mr. Crater, seconded by Mr. Bell. Discussion? Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I have a question. When do we do the speaker cards? Is that going to be after we read the committee?
Speaker cards are probably being turned in and done. Then what? Miss Julie she had the one that they turned in. Got it right here.
Yes, okay. So we're still, I'm just making sure.
We're not in recreation.
Okay, I was just
There's
making
nothing for
sure that,
recreation. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Humphrey is going to be contacting you. He contacted me, and I have to let him know the outcome of this meeting. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say that in just a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now it's passed, so I have to let Mr. Humphrey know so he can get in touch with facility planning and start planning everything, because that's going to take a little while. Sir? Yes, sir. I'm just going to leave it at that. We appreciate it. We appreciate the money that they're offering us. Okay, thank you.
Under non-action items, Recreation Director, Mr. Peter Kirsch, presented the monthly Recreation Department report. Tim Mater, City Engineer, presented the monthly Engineers report. There was no further business to come before the Recreation Committee and committee recess.
I apologize. There is somebody that filled out a speaker card for, I guess it's for the parks. Is that right, Mr. Rich? For the parks? Is that for handicap access?
It was for this building, public buildings.
Public buildings.
Oh, okay, yes, we haven't gotten there yet. Coming up. All right, next is zoning and annexation. Ms. Bowman?
Thank you, Mayor. Zoning and Annexation Committee convened Wednesday, June the 1st at 4 p.m. Council chamber, and a quorum was present. Under action items, there was a motion that was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Sammy Reggie III to amend the Zoning and Annexation Committee agenda to add as an action item the following: to consider the request of Alicia Pruitt for a conditional use permit to use the residence located at 514 West Northern as a physical therapy, Pilates, wellness studio with no more than 4 clients at a time, pursuant to favorable recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That motion to amend was approved, and the council discussed it. The committee discussed it. Following the committee, we have a motion that was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Sammy Reggie III to approve the issuance of a conditional use permit to Alicia Pruitt to use the residence located at 514 West Northern as a physical therapy, Pilates, wellness studio with no more than 4 clients at a time, pursuant to the favorable recommendations provided by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Ms. Fogelman, seconded by Mr. Reddy. Discussion? Mr. Britton?
Yes, I'm in favor of I like the 4 clients, but I also think that we probably should have a signage limitation in that neighborhood also. I wouldn't want to see a big old neon sign or something come up. I think we should have some kind of restriction as to the size of a sign that she could put to advertise her business, like maybe like a 2x2 or 3x3, but I think there should be we wouldn't want, I don't think the neighborhood would want a big sign out in front of her residence. So just my thoughts. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
Mr. Bell?
Mr. Reagan, correct me if I'm wrong, I agree with you, Mr. Prater, but unless it's stipulated that they are asking for a sign, otherwise all other residential type ordinances are in effect, correct? So she would not be allowed to have
That's
that.
right, not allowed to have, notice, unless somebody requests a preschool sign, approve those before, that's a separate, application for a sign. Most of it's done by appointment, that people call in, it's not.
They shouldn't have to go back before the planners commit to get such approval if necessary, right?
Yeah, I think so, because they have to prove the size of the sign, whatever conditions they want to prove, such as lighting or anything like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Britton?
And does that include banners also?
Any kind of sign.
I don't know that there's any, the planning commission would decide whether or not to make a recommendation. Whatever she's asking for, Ms. Green, I can't really speak to what she would ask for, but if she asked for banners, I assume she could do that. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be granted by the planning commission or by this council.
And at this point, the only thing we have on the floor that we're voting for is the conditional use.
Correct.
residential.
Yes. Ms. McDonough?
Thank you, Mayor. Is this where we have those citizens come speak before we vote? Because that might, no, we have to vote first
Yes,
before
ma'am.
they speak.
There is a debate on the floor right now between this legislative body. So if you have any further discussion,
I would think that the city, the
Yes, ma'am.
two
we,
people that
we,
are
we
on
would
this,
be able to be allowed to speak, and it can always be brought up again later.
but we have to vote first. Is that right, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Reagan? We can have
Yes.
the citizens speak, Mr. Reagan, first, before we, I mean, because they're part of the discussion. They're part of the discussion because they're the citizens. Yes, because
Okay,
we were
first-
saying discussion.
First, Ms. Jermaine Rock. Mr. Jermaine, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, correct.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you in advance for allowing me to speak. I have followed and been present throughout this process of granting a conditional use to a specific property in my neighborhood. I will not reiterate those points at this time. As Mark Antony and Julius Caesar in his funeral oration says, I come to bury Caesar, not praise him. I come to present a catalog of my own actions, not to condemn any others. When I received the notice of a proposed change in the status of my neighborhood, I composed a letter of my objection. I read the objection at the Zoning and Planning Commission meeting in an open forum. I did not call City Hall and consult with any administrator concerning what steps I might take to preserve the residential integrity of this area. I did not bring personal relationships in the community, at church, with family to bear upon the commission for a favorable conclusion to my concerns. I did not ask the commissioners if they understood my points, my objection. I sought to provide information for the commission's consideration. I attended the council committee's meeting the following afternoon. I did not call any council member, past or present, for coaching and/or lobbying to achieve my ends. Not being a council member, I could not, nor would I, if I were, say to an attendee that I have no problem with it, the proposed change. Before the meeting, before presentations were made, before any discussion, I was given the opportunity to voice my concerns about the proposal. Again, I did not ask the council if they understood my points, my objection. Only one representative approached me about my objection to any change. This was only after the commission panel, when that person heard my concerns and questions. I appreciate that council member taking these seriously. Platitudes and a dismissal of my complaints in this process were not offered by that person, as seemingly so by others. As above, here I speak what I do know. Through observation and conversations here within these four walls, the parameters for the city's open conduct of business. I did not seek information, it was freely offered to me. Nor did I look for information in the public sphere. I did not seek any advantage in this process. I am not congratulating myself on my behavior. I followed what I believe the proper route through government procedures as prescribed by law. I have tried to conduct myself in a lawful, respectful, ethical manner to all throughout these various steps. I hope I was in all my interactions, as prescribed for Caesar's life, above reproach. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rock. Next, Ms. Alicia Pruitt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank y'all again for this consideration for the conditional use. There was some thought after the last committee meeting where I heard some more concerns in addition to the ones that were the night before, and I just want to address some of those. I know there were some concerns about the property and maintaining the residential, but also keeping up with the property. I plan to, before my grandmother passed away, there were multiple people trying to keep things updated and go through all of our things. So if I am allowed to use the space for this wellness, I plan on keeping it updated and well-groomed and presentable. Another thing that I wanted to mention, because it was brought up before the planning commission conversation, but not necessarily before the council and the committee last week. It was, talked about, I know, it was said that, businesses are meant to grow and have goals to grow, and everybody has different goals. My goals are to help people, and yes, growth is part of that, but at the same time, I did mention to the commission that if the business ends up growing bigger than my original plans or my goals, then the obvious thing to do is to move the location of the business. And I understand that, but for what my goals are currently and what my business is currently, the residential look and atmosphere and hominess of the home is adequate and more than enough. There was also something else brought up before the commission that I wanted to make sure. They asked me if this was full-time. So as I'm growing individually and professionally, I'm working to educate others on what this wellness lifestyle is. And I'm not only wanting to talk about a wellness lifestyle and educate people on that, I want to live it. So full-time for one person might not be full-time for another. And it's not your normal 40-hour work week like we talked about before. But it is, it's small, and I'm trying to make it my full-time. But I am working elsewhere actively as a physical therapist for the majority of my income. Those are just some points that I thought would be well used for your consideration as you decide.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one more, I'm sorry, can I say one more thing? Something that we didn't talk about last week outside of, I know we talked about my grandmother had lessons in our home. There were there was a beauty shop right next door and a daycare down the street. So that having a small business like this has been accepted in the past for conditional use. Or, well, I don't know if it's actually conditional use, but people did have their businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Bell?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to applaud both of these ladies for coming and speaking to us about the issue. And I did say, I believe last week, I do like the business model. I like Pilates. I like exercise. And my daughter-in-law is a physical therapist. But I think we need to respect the citizens that live in that area and their wishes. And, that holds a lot of weight. So, thank you.
Ms. Bowman?
In one respect, I agree with you, Ms. Stringfellow, but in another, I think the key factor here, and I'll do, and I'm sorry I have my back to you, Ms. Robb, but I can't look at you and speak to the mic. I very much respect your approach to this and your views, and I certainly hope that I did not give you the impression otherwise last week. However, we are the city council. We have a young lady that has come before us, and I think she just hit the bottom line here. She's a physical therapist, and she's trying to venture in another direction with a new business that is a new concept in Crowley. Finances are a factor for everyone. I think if she's got a family home that she can set up in, and we give restrictions that she abides by, and her business begins to grow and develop, that's what we want. That's when she would be shopping for some commercial location otherwise located in Crowley to expand and provide the program to more. If we issue this conditional use permit and we start having problems, and we'll know about it, we can retract it at any time. So there is no issue here. I mean, you either give someone a chance or you shut them down before they even try. And I think if we shut attempted small business down, we're just sending the wrong message. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Okay. No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
And it was offered by Mr. Lau, and second by Mr. Ray. Okay. Thank you.
Under non-action items, there were none, and there was no further business to come before zoning and organization, so the committee recessed.
Thank you. Next, public safety, Mr. Cooler.
Thank you, Mayor.
Public Safety Committee convened Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. Quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow to approve the following liquor permit: Sharon's Grill, 200 Fairway Drive, Suite D, for a 2022 Class A retail beer permit and a 2022 Class A retail liquor permit. The motion carried and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Core, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, Chief of Police Jim Broussard reported the police department responded to 894 calls for service in the month of May. He also reported the police department is down 5 staff members, but 4 applicants will be interviewed. Fire Chief Louis Romero was absent for the committee meeting. His report will be provided at the next meeting. Mayor, I received his report. Would like you to review it?
Yes, sir.
For the record. Under structure fires, there were 26 fire alarms, 12 calls for EMS service, 0 grass fires, 0 assistance to the police department, 4 hazmat calls, 1 extraction, 2 vehicle accidents, 2 public assists, 2 trash fires, 2 vehicle fires, and 1 mutual aid call. Total calls were 54. The average monthly response time for May 2022 was 3 minutes and 9 seconds. The total calls for the fire department ran so far in 2022 are 250. Total Duhon code enforcement officer was absent but sent his report to Chairman Core, who read the report. Mayor Motzel reported the request for installation of a 4-way stop sign or traffic calming improvements at street intersections adjacent to Living Park is being reviewed by the city attorney. Chief Broussard reiterated his preference not to have a 4-way stop at these intersections. Rich Hughes discussed the cost of installing 4-way stops versus the cost of a roundabout. Mayor Motzel reported that he received 1 estimate for repairs to the irrigation systems for flower beds along Main Street and is waiting on a couple of more estimates. There was no further action to come before the Public Safety Committee and the committee recess.
Thank you. Next is Public Buildings. Mr. Woolridge.
Public Buildings Committee convening last September 4th, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chamber. A quorum was present. On the action item, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Clint Gray to amend the Public Buildings Committee agenda to add a non-action item to the following. To hear comments from Principal Guard regarding access to the public building. Motion carried, not for the vote.
It's not
Right, so you have to move forward. Okay. All right. Okay, we have someone, Mr. Rich Hughes? Public Buildings? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Cash has obtained drawings from Mr. Hang on a second. Mr. Brett Bader, Mr. Bader's firm, and we've obtained a preliminary budget for putting the ramp in for this building here, and I'd like to give it to you now.
Mr. Hughes, can you say what cash is again? Because some people may not know.
It's Crowley Accessibility Support for the Handicapped.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks. At this point right now, if you look down at the bottom of his quote, he says this is a budget price pending approval of the owner's drawings by the State Fire Marshal's Office. So we're hoping that the City of Crowley will go ahead at this point and get solid drawings together so we can finalize this situation and get it moving.
Right, way back when, just to let you know, Mr. Lynn, way back when Mr. Bader gave me a copy of that, I did turn it in to the fire marshal's office, but then it would have to go under I guess, a different category because it's gonna be turned in.
So there are already drawings?
Sir,
There are drawings?
this is what I submitted.
You know, there would have to be specific drawings for them to approve. You know, I mean,
Right, no, but I
Plannings
didn't turn it in for approval. I
Right.
was asking for recommendation.
oh, okay.
That's all it was. So not me and not the other person, but the contractor and whoever's gonna be doing it is going to be, have to ask the fire marshal's office
So
for approval.
will the city be having an architect go ahead and do the drawings for it? Because there's a lot involved in it. There's a
Yes,
lot
sir,
of
that's why I was
electrical
gonna ask if we could meet with Mr. Mayor or Mr. Brett Baylor again, along with your
Right.
contractor estimate.
But Mr. Mayor, I won't put the words in Mr. Mayor's mouth, but from my understanding, your firm is not a lot better or qualified to do the plans for all of this.
Yeah, we're not architects.
Okay.
The next step would be to, an architect to prepare a set of plans and specifications that are meant for the bid process, the public bid process. That has to go through the state fire marshal.
All right. Okay, so we can, yes,
There we
sir.
are.
I can get with you and let you know who.
Okay.
Who we can go with.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
And Ms. Hoffpower,
Yes.
apologize for not being here.
No, it's okay. Actually, it is Mr. Huffpower, is who's the architect,
Oh, okay.
and we have to give this to.
There's a lot of Hoffpowers.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Christopher George.
Good evening. The reason why I'm up here is to inform you that I made a mistake. Last week, for the committee meetings, I was taking off the agenda for public buildings. But knowing what I know now about the circumstances surrounding the issue, I would have declined to speak because I don't like drama, and that's not what I stand for. I did not have all the facts, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Rivers didn't either, about the rental of the Rice Theater and what's apparently missing. I want to sincerely apologize to the mayor, Mayor Tim Monso, for last week. The leader in me can admit when he's wrong, and on this matter I was. However, my stance on the powers of the committee chairpersons remains the same because it provides an excellent system for checks and balances. Mayor Monso, you appointed each committee member, and I believe you should utilize every resource that's available to you, which includes every committee member you appoint. I also believe you should inform your committee chairs with information that relates to their committee on a regular basis. And this communication should be evenly distributed amongst all members, not just a select few. By doing so, fewer issues and problems will occur. Good government occurs when informed decisions are made with authenticity and integrity. I read the Larson Act, where I saw a U.S. mayor having an abundance of power. But my question, and you don't have to answer, is what good is it to have all that power and use none of it to bring unity within our governing body? Your political campaign, I read it, and it speaks of working together. And me, I'm a man of action, so I have to hold you to that same standard. And our actions should speak louder than words. We must work together and trust each other in order for this city to thrive. And last, I want to say to the Post Signal, I pray this makes the front page just as much as it did last week. I spoke many times about other things, including a ceasefire to end violence in West Crowley, and it's never made the front page. I know controversy sells, but we look to the Post Signal to also report when there is as much good that comes from these meetings. So on behalf of me, Mr. Reggie, I thank you. Mr. Craig, I thank you. Mr. Rivers, I thank you. Chief, I thank you. Mr. Fogelman, I thank you. Mr. Mayor, I thank you. Mr. Stringfellow, I thank you. Mr. Craig, I thank you. Mr. Cavell, I thank you. I thank all you elected officials for standing on behalf of our city and making the right decisions, because we all trust that you have our best interest at heart. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you all, but price of $36,000.
36,680.
36,680.
680. Mr. Luke?
Non-action item, Crystal Jones for regards to public building chairperson not having keys for access to the public buildings and cleaning up of the public buildings. Mayor Monson reported that the outdoor restroom at the MLK Center are being built and should be completed by the week of June 20, 2022. There being no further business before the Public Buildings Committee, we recess.
Thank you. Next, insurance and personnel, Mr. Ringo.
Thank you, Mayor. The Insurance and Personnel Committee convened Wednesday, June 1st, from 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. There were no action items, nor were there any non-action items. There was no further business to come before the Insurance and Personnel Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you. Community and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Reggie.
Thank you, Mayor. Community and Economic Development Committee convened Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, there were none. Under non-action items, I provided updates from the Crowley Tourism Director, Acadia Parish Chamber of Commerce, the Crowley Garden Club, and Crowley Main Street. There was no further business to come before Community and Economic Development Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you. Next, Revenue and Finance Committee, Mr. Cavell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Revenue and Finance Committee convened on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. At that time, there were no action items, but today that did not go to committee, there is an action item. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the Board of Aldermen, the City of Crowley, Louisiana, acknowledge receipt of the city's financial audit for the fiscal year ending August 31, 2021, as prepared for and received by the Louisiana State Auditor, and that said financial papers are available for public inspection in compliance with LARS 33463.
Offered by Mr. Cavell, seconded by Mr. Reggie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, Mayor Monson provided an update on the city's new accounting system software and accessibility by council members. Mayor Monson advising the council members will be provided with a copy of the city's 2021-2022 fiscal financial audit by June 2nd, 2022, but will confirm it will be submitted to the state prior to the forwarding of council members. Mayor Monson advised the monthly financial reports will be submitted to council members for review. There were no further business to come before the Revenue and Finance Committee. The committee then recessed.
Thank you. Under ordinances, proposed ordinance number 1528, an ordinance to revoke the dedication of and abandon that portion of West Elm Street east of the east lines of South Avenue C between Block 18 and Block 34 of the South Crowley addition to the city of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, as per plat of South Crowley addition except for reservations of minerals and servitudes, to repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances contrary thereto or in conflict therewith, to provide for the provisions hereof to be severable, and to provide for all matters relative thereto. I would ask for a motion.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Fogelman, seconded by Mr. Cavell. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeff Cavell,
Yes.
Brad Ford,
Yes.
Hank Prater,
Yes.
Lyle Fogelman,
Yes.
Sammy Reggie,
Yes.
Kim Stringfellow,
Yes.
Byron Rivers.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It does pass. Next is a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, designating the official journal of the city of Crowley for the post city. Offered by Mr. Cavell, by Mr. Fogelman. seconded by Mr. Reggie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mayor, engineers report?
Let's go to adjourn.
Okay. I'll ask for motion to adjourn.
That's a rule.
Offered by Mr. Cord,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bell.
I'll take it.
And I said that on the tip, he was gonna be drinking a fountain cup. He did, he argued. You wanted to But it was,
You come in and ask for.
I know.
Yeah. Say goodnight. Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. He did. He was back there.
I think I might be.
Yeah.